Alright, so following up from the ranked games that we were playing last night, and for anybody in the future who feels the need to watch this, I guess, I want to talk a little bit about how five-man strats usually work in Rainbow Six, just in kind of a rough sense of like how you might arrive at one, because obviously it's a really complex game and there's a lot going on. Um, this is just kind of at a super basic level how you would look at your site and decide maybe where it's best to play and what operators will be most efficient for defending a certain site. So here we've got Clubhouse. This is the Arsenal room and church site. This is on the bottom of the map. And we'll run up to the bar just in case anybody's confused about where stuff is and how it connects. These are the main stairs. You've got the bar, the kitchen, and the sites below. So, by default, there are two entrances that you can run through. There's this main stairs area that leads towards the sites, and there's the blue hall area. It's called blue, even though technically it's called utility room, and I think it's like gas pit or something, oil pit. People just call this blue because of the color blue that's around here. It's one syllable, and it's easy to call out. Those are the two naturally existing pathways. You've also got the dirt tunnel over here called dirt. Technically called escape tunnel, but people call it dirt because it's kind of self-explanatory, and again, one syllable. With some exterior facing walls here. Because these exterior facing walls have a drone hole right next to them, it's relatively easy for anybody to shoot a bandit wire or a mute jammer that you put on these walls. So unfortunately, you're not usually going to be able to defend these if the other team wants to break them. I would not waste any bandit wires or mute jammers in here unless you have both bandit wires and mute jammers, in which case, you might be able to get away with it just as a tax on them not knowing about the drone hole or putting in adequate effort. But generally speaking, you want to reinforce these so at the very least you can consume some of their resources. So if they don't pick a thermite, they're going to have a harder time getting in here. If they don't pick or rather, if they pick a Hibana, she's going to have to choose between opening this and opening some of the hatches. The hatches are the last entrances, worth mentioning. I think we'll run back through this on attack later, so for now we'll just show you. There's the one over here above Arsenal. There's the one over here above Moto. Moto's technically called Memorial Room, apparently, but people call it Moto because there's a big-ass motorcycle here, and it's two syllables, so it's faster to say than Memorial, which has the double M, and gets mushy when you try and call it out. Third hatch is going to be in blue over here. Voila. So in total, there are 6 entrances to this site. However, when you've got hatches, you can listen for people dropping down. You hear their feet smack, and then you can peek them. That tends to work pretty well. You can also set up murder holes. So as you can see here, that's the hatch. It gives you a bit of a sight line down here. So like somebody hiding on that side of the hatch could technically see me if I was lying down here. But if I just stand deep, like behind the bomb or something, make this a little bit larger, I can see right where anyone would drop down from that hatch and kill them with a crossfire. And so in addition to covering those hatches, which again, all you got to do is listen, from here you can sit here as soon as you hear it pop, peek it, sit here, hold a pixel. Tends to work pretty well. Anyway, yeah. You can cover the hatches like that, and then all these other spots are long, skinny hallways. So you can put barbed wire here, barbed wire like right here. You can put a murder hole on the back side of this pillar so that when you're walking up to it, you can't really see it. Then you round it and you're like, oh fuck, there's somebody who could potentially see me right here. They're going to be able to deny that eventually when they get the hatch, but at the very least, it can help to stop a rush, and we'll talk about who might be playing near that later. But yes, you can put all these barbed wire, some goo mines. Anybody who's walking down this hallway is going to get caught by whatever defenders are sitting here and listening, preferably like a Legion. Just peek him, he's dead. Similarly, if they want to get in Moto, that's fine. But if I'm sitting here and there's a person in blue on the rotate hole, there's a person maybe behind the bomb here, kind of hard to see because of this mist in the corner behind the bomb. You have a person hiding behind the table, just using the visual density of the chairs to make you really hard to see. And you could have somebody deep all the way back behind the bar. So it's kind of hard to push into church from Moto. Similarly to the main hallway, you can just load up traps in this hallway. Lots of sneaky spots, like you can put Ela mines on the backside of this so nobody can blow them up. You can put it on the backside of this or this, as long as you kind of get it so that it's sticking out like that rather than like that. Because if it's like this, they can't see it while they're walking down the hallway. Goo mines in the middle, like between two sets of barbed wire, so that you have multiple points where they're going to be stopped and slowed down. You can sit here kind of on this corner. They can't really get an angle on you from the hatch. They might get your feet a little bit, but you can, just move as soon as you hear it getting blown. But yeah, you can sit here. As soon as you hear someone getting barbed wire, shoot them. You play a pixel between this wall and this wall. As soon as you know somebody's there, you're just going to see the flicker of movement. Peek out and shoot them. Nice easy pre-fire. You can do it from this side as well. And you can rotate back onto site if you need to. So all of that tends to work pretty well for defending those. The last lane that you need to defend is the dirt tunnel. Smoke is really good for this because you've got a lot of really tight little angles, so the 17-round mag on the SMG-11 doesn't really punish you too bad. You could shoot at people, use smoke and back off. Sit here again, get a nice deep angle between the wooden bars and the wall. Shoot people. Use that and fall back. Again, skinny angles, and retreating all the way back to site. If we're able to hold this spot, you can also get smoke going here and looking back at the wall from blue. So, if you're able to, use all of those spots efficiently, you're going to be able to prevent them from getting in. The reinforcements I would usually use are 2 in dirt, 3 for the hatches. It's important to get all 3 because then you're consuming all of Hibana's utility to deny you these hatches. If they don't manage to get one of the hatches, you get so many more possibilities open. Like if they forget this one, people forget this one pretty frequently. If no one gets this, now you've got all of blue. You've got multiple fallback points. You can get a lot done. If they don't get the hatch on the bar, you can sit here in Moto and hold the angle on the stairs and destroy anybody who's trying to come down there and set a crossfire whenever they try and go into the main hall. Make that one an even harder take. So that's 5. You want to get another 3 reinforcements right here along this wall into church, because from here it would be very problematic if the attackers were able to get this angle up. That would really be a problem for you, obviously, because now they can control most of the A site. And last but not least, these 2 walls. Well, last and least, really. These 2 walls, at least one of these should be reinforced. You could also put a rotate hole on the other side if you're feeling confident, especially if you want to play a Mira over here. You put a mirror on this wall, kind of see down the hallway and know if anybody is coming for sure, and then have the option to either peek the doorway or peek, let's see, put the reinforcement here. You can see the angle. Or peek right here, you can get a little pixel going on anybody who's up by the generator. And that can really help support your teammates in church. So as far as where 5 players would play for this, I would say a smoke is ideal for dirt tunnel, because he's going to be able to slow them down, make their lives difficult. I'd put a pulse over here under the soft floor here, so he can scan up and potentially see 4 people. In particular, there's a nice little spot here. You can see that's a doorway up there. That's the doorway that goes to the outside. That's where people tend to jump in through. It's either that or this window, the vault window that people go into kitchen from. So if Pulse is able to detect somebody, throw a C4 at their feet or something, blow them up, that can be really useful. Once the hatch gets open, though, or they start shooting out the floor, he's going to have to fall back and go and find something to do over here. Third player I'd place is probably either a Doc or a Mira, who can, play this position with her mirror and can help hold this hallway. Her job is relatively important, or his job if it's Doc, the ACOG helps with that. And then in here, I'd place a Legion and a Bandit. Bandit can bandit all of these walls, keep people out of church, while Legion can place the hallways, goo mines that would let you know when people are coming down the hallway, basically, in addition to the barbed wire. And so he eventually generates 8 goo mines. You can load like 4 up on each hallway, and that can be really efficient. So now, having established what like a relatively good defense is going to look like, let's talk about attacking it. First off, roaming is really difficult because the attackers are able to count how many people are going up and down, and routes from the top of the map to the bottom are extremely limited. There's only one hatch from the top floor to the middle floor, and that's this one over the bar by billiards, and then the other 3 hatches in kitchen, bar, and stock, which is over here. Kitchen, bar, stock. Those 3 hatches are important again because it forces Hibana to use all of her utility to force you guys back. You should also probably bring a thermite who can open up the dirt tunnel area. But anyway, because all of those things are covered up, it's really difficult to get down or up because I can just sit here and hold the stairs at relatively low risk from outside, and somebody else can just run right into the garage and put a claymore here on the ladder, and bam, you've already cut off all of their routes up and down. So now any roamers are stuck. You can send your buck up to the top floor, like shoot out the millions of soft walls around here and go and chase the roamers and kill them. So basically no one roams on the basement site because it's too difficult, and that is why. So once you get in, what you're going to want to do is get those hatches open because it denies the defenders a lot of positions around the map. It doesn't get you everything, but at least it narrows them down. So your Hibana is going to be doing that. After that, you're going to want to get the thermite, destroying the walls from construction. You can see on the exterior of the map, behind the kitchen here, we've got the construction site. Thermite gets you in here, now their smoke has to look this way. He's stuck playing this, and you can get him to use all of his smokes relatively early in the round if you're smart. Obviously, you don't want to just go in and die to him. You just want to force him back, have one person droning and one person pushing, and get him out of there. Or you can even just open it and make him nervous. That can work really well too. Once that's all done, start taking out the floor. You can see from here, I've got that pillar where the wall bang hole is. From here, I can deny the backside of the site. From here, cover the stairs so that people, it's a little bit harder to flank without you exposing yourself to the peek from Moto. You can go back here, buck out the wall, even buck out the wall below it. So now I'm standing, on a spot that Pulse can't see for, but I've got an angle into the back of the site where that Pulse is theoretically, potentially going to be playing. Similarly, if I go all the way here, right up next to the steps, you can actually get a bit of an angle on church. That's the door into church. And again, by doing this with Buck, you're just limiting the number of places that the defenders can be and forcing them back and making it more difficult for them to rotate around and to respond to what you're doing. At that point, you're going to want to get players going, through all of the different lanes in order to get their attention. So this is a place where I like to put Twitch, for example. She can drop down here into the oil pit, take her time with her drone to destroy any like goo mines or anything in here first, because she's got time, and even though they're camouflaged, they're not completely invisible. Her drone can get all that, and she can take out a potential mirror window that we talked about being right here. So it's good to put Twitch over here. This fixes people in position. They're having to worry about this side. The Buck's exerting vertical control. Once Thermite has done the dirt tunnel wall, you might have Thermite come up and set up here. As long as you can get through this angle, which should be relatively easy with someone covering Moto from the hatch, Thermite can get up here, Twitch can take out any bandit wires here, and you can blow this wall. Now you're going to have control of the A site, and you can plant if you want to. Or well, if not complete control, at least you're gonna have them backed into a corner. You can throw the frag grenade poorly and almost blow yourself up. Or you can throw it back there behind the bar, blow up anybody on that side, just peek this side, look behind the bomb over there. Generally advantageous for the attackers coming through here. Similarly, that Twitch can, once she pushes up blue, she's going to be able to put pressure on anybody who's trying to play on the generator or inside of this site, because she's going to be able to see through the rotate hole and mess with them. It's going to be really difficult to hold that position. Smoke is, again, you're going to try and be able to keep smoke back here, keep the other people stuck back here behind the boxes, and ideally, so what we've talked about, Hibana, Buck, Thermite, and Twitch. Your fifth operator would then probably be like a Ying, who can throw in her smokes and candelas, block off the sight lines from here and here, and you can plant behind the bar or something. Or even like move up here, do it in the corner here. You could go to this side and like do it behind the table. There are lots of options, which would allow you to plant the diffuser at much lower risk than fighting all these guys. You can even have a fifth person be Glaz and shoot through smoke. This is actually a pretty good map for Glaz. All of those are good options, and hopefully that makes sense as like how ideally you counter that kind of defense as an attacker. Ultimately, it really comes down to who is able to win these fights coming from the boxes. You can look for early picks as a defender, like not necessarily roaming outright, but just going up here, thinking, maybe I can catch somebody. If they start punching out the wall without droning, shoot at them, and drop. If for some reason they drone, as if they're smart, which would be shocking in ranked, but yeah, if they drone, you can just drop immediately, run away, and kind of take the next forward position. Get a little pixel angle here. You hear them above you starting to open the hatch with Hibana. It's going to melt back over here. Play your pixel here. And just make sure that you're using every single opportunity to tax them for whatever they didn't bring, for whatever resource they don't have, for whatever thing they didn't do. If you're sitting over here with Pulse and like they didn't bring a buck or a sledge or somebody who can open up these floors, Jackal can even do it in a pinch. If they didn't bring any of those things, then your Pulse is going to be able to sit over here now. They can't shoot them from the hatch because that's a cabinet. Like you can't get an angle from the cabinet over here because you can't stand there. So this side of the site is safe if they don't know to do vertical control. If they don't open the moto hatch and like clear that out, and they try and just run down straight down the stairs, can hit them with the pixel and melt back, or just like sit here and threaten and wait until someone else spots them on the camera. So like Pulse can take a chill pill for a minute, turn around and say like, okay, I'm on the hallway cam for you. He's pushed up. Now I know that it's time for me to peek. Little things like that are going to help you take advantage of the few choke points that you have. And then otherwise you're just going to kind of have your Legion like hanging out, calling out when people are hitting his traps and telling you when to peek and get people. If you have a bandit here who can bandit trick, who's getting proper callouts, they're not going to breach this with Thermite. If something goes wrong, which happens all the time, then it gets breached and maybe you lose the round, but at the very least, you're making the effort to win the battle of the gadget economy, and you're forcing them to do a really good job rather than just kind of letting things go and hoping for the best. So hopefully that makes sense. Thanks for listening. Bye.